Detective Hope and the Case of the Berlin Belongings. The train hissed to a stop at the big stone station in Berlin. Sifat Jagi stepped onto the platform, her round glasses fogging up slightly in the cool air. Right beside her was the bravest dog in history, Detective Hope, the Sniffles Jagi. Hope adjusted his favorite brown beret and wagged his tail. Even in this strange, old-fashioned city of the 1940s, Hope knew there was work to be done. "Keep your nose ready, Hope," Sifat whispered. "People here need our help." Out of the crowd came a familiar face. "Sifat! Hope!" called Mrs. Jagi. She was waiting for them with a warm coat and a gentle smile. She hugged Sifat tightly, her fair skin glowing under the station lights. "I'm so glad you're here," Mrs. Jagi said. "The streets are a bit messy because of the war, and some of our neighbors have lost very important things. They are feeling very sad." They walked out into the city. The streets were made of bumpy cobblestones, and the buildings were tall and made of dark brick. Near a large, quiet clock tower, they met a man named Otto. He was wearing a dusty apron and looked very worried. "Oh, hello," Otto sighed. "I am the clockmaker, but I cannot start the town clock. My special golden winding key has disappeared." Sifat knelt down. "Don't worry, Mr. Otto. We have a professional on the case." Otto looked down at the small dog in the beret. "A dog detective?" he asked, surprised. Hope let out a confident woof and stepped toward Otto's boots. He sniffed the air, his nose twitching 100 times a second. He could smell the scent of old metal and clock oil on Otto's hands. Hope looked up at Otto and tilted his head. He was ready to follow the trail of the missing key. "Go, Hope. Use your sniffles power," Sifat cheered. Hope's nose went sniff, sniff, sniff along the edge of the cobblestones. He ignored the smell of charcoal and old bread. He was looking for that specific metallic scent. He zigzagged across the street, his tail held high like a flag. Sifat followed him closely, making sure he didn't get lost in the shadows of the old buildings. Suddenly, Hope stopped. He began to dig frantically at a pile of loose bricks and stones near a garden wall. He let out a sharp, happy bark and pointed his front paw toward a dark crack between two large rocks. Something shiny caught the light. Hope sat back on his haunches and barked again, waiting for Sifat to see what he had discovered. Sifat reached into the crack and pulled out a heavy golden key. "You found it, Hope," she cried. She ran back to the clock tower and handed the key to Otto. The clockmaker's face lit up with joy. "My key. Now I can make the clock chime again so everyone knows the time." He turned the key in the lock, and a loud, beautiful bong echoed through the streets. For the first time in days, people looked up and smiled. As the clock chimed, a neighbor named Greta came out of her house. She looked very tired and sad. Mrs. Jagi walked over to her and put a kind hand on her shoulder. "Is something wrong, Greta?" Mrs. Jagi asked. Greta wiped a tear from her eye. "I lost my silver locket," she whispered. "It has a picture of my family inside. I think it fell off while I was working in the community garden." "Hope can find it," Sifat said. Leading the detective over to Greta, Hope took a long sniff of Greta's hand to catch her scent. Then he trotted over to the garden where rows of cabbages were growing. He moved slowly this time, his nose moving through the dirt and the leaves. Sifat stayed by his side, moving branches out of his way so he could see better. Aha! Hope's nose found something that smelled like lavender and silver. He nudged a pile of leaves with his snout, and there it was, a small heart-shaped locket. Sifat picked it up and polished it with her sleeve. "Good boy, Hope," she said, giving him a pat on the head. Hope did a happy little spin. They had solved 2 mysteries in one afternoon. They returned the locket to Greta. She hugged it to her chest, her eyes filling with happy tears. Mrs. Jagi smiled at her children. "You've brought so much hope to this street today," she said. Greta and Mrs. Jagi sat on a bench together, sharing a small piece of bread and talking about better times. The sound of the clock chiming made the whole neighborhood feel a little bit safer. As the sun began to set over Berlin, the sky turned a soft shade of orange. Sifat and Detective Hope walked back toward their new home. Hope's beret was a little lopsided, and his paws were dusty, but he felt like a hero. Sifat held his leash loosely, her glasses reflecting the sunset. "Great teamwork, Detective," she said. Hope gave a sleepy bark, case closed, and hope restored.